Y'all live. This is Taco Tuesday. I am your host, Bill Noble. Please get me out of this conflict in the Middle East. Get me out. So says the United States. So says the Iranians. So says Marco Rubio. So says everybody. Everybody except the people with the vested interest in it continuing. But, of course, because they got too short in equities, including me, Mr. Reverse Indicator last night, they squeeze everybody on the latest taco headlines, which we will go through. They're not obvious, but it is pretty clear that everybody is trying to get out. I don't know if they're going to be able to. But clearly the stock market was uber short, and they got squeezed. All right, the great news, I think, is that whatever quantum computing BS went out today, I mean, I know that they're going to get it done ahead of schedule like everything else, but that was an excuse for an ignition rally in Zcash, which we did talk about, so I got that right, and Monero could be next. Now, I think the real case for Zcash has nothing to do with quantum computing. The real case for Zcash and Monero in privacy is if money has to be moved around out of the Middle East. I mean, you name all the places that can have financial problems if oil stays elevated. There's all the Middle Eastern countries. There's their finances. Japan has serious problems. They're talking about stimulus checks in the United States. They're going to have to print their way out of these problems. And money is going to need to move around the world. And I think that means privacy. Is privacy a one-day event? Am I a reverse indicator? I don't know. We'll go through the charts. We'll go through some important news. I'll report. You decide. Today was quantum computing day and squeezing everybody in equities. However, today was last day of the month, an attempt to rescue everything. And then the real trading, I think, in stonks, and frankly, everything else starts tomorrow. Also, keep in mind, Easter is coming, and they love to do huge moves on Western holidays. Oh my God, would I love to see a huge move up on a major Easter taco event. However, we are starting to hear more from President Rubio than we are from the Orange Man. We'll discuss that. Some people think the Orange Man has gone full Brandon in terms of mental capacity. We will also talk about that. To me, that speaks to an argument for Bitcoin. There's always an argument to off-ramp from the system. It's every single day. And the fact that Bitcoin got to close above 67K means, I don't know, from a TA perspective, that it's okay. It's not great. It's not terrible. I hate the fact that it doesn't move. We covered that yesterday about the risks involved there. I'm almost to the point where I don't care. As long as privacy coins continue to have a bid, there's actually something to talk about outside of just taco. Man, they all want out of this thing. All of them. I think the United States and the Iranians both want absolutely out. And people in Europe and Asia are starting to panic. I think they are panicking because the oil and liquid natural gas supply shock is no joke. Absolutely no joke. This is going to cause a growth shock, which is going to bring in a central bank response, which potentially could have started today. In other words, if you were a central bank, you would wait for taco and then pump money into the system and blow out the shorts, which is exactly what they did today in stonks. Okay, now we will also go over something that a really smart guy gave me about an ETF that shows where all the hedge funds have got their money parked. And we will talk about the fact that, Nike is on a fast track to zero, and Oracle, because of what's going on in their credit default swaps market, meaning the bond market or a component of the bond market, is essentially saying Oracle could go out of business because they have too much debt. So they fired half their employees. Now, Square now Block fired half their employees. Oracle just panicked, fired half their employees. Meta let 14,000 people go. So they've all got these grand designs to let half their people go. Real super cheery stuff. Is anyone ready for this? No, they're not. It's a growth shock. And I continue to believe that brings in a Fed response, which is probably why Bitcoin can't go lower, at least today, right? I mean, I think in order for Bitcoin to go lower, you're going to need some sovereign who gets in trouble and has to panic sell it the way Turkey sold gold. Are we going to worry about that today? No. Frankly, I hope not, that we can just have a happy Easter. Of course, I've said that on every holiday. You say that on every holiday, and then you wind up with a 25% move. Oh, God, please have it be up. But we will look at the charts of privacy coins. I just can't believe this is not the ignition of a rally in Zcash and Monero based on the DeMark work, which is working. Something is working, thank God. All right, so we have to jump in. We have to jump into Taco. Now, for anybody who doesn't understand what Taco is Trump always chickens out. So Trump pushes everything, negotiates, sends the 82nd Airborne, acts unhinged, and then pulls it back to the center. Okay, and that's what the stock market's waiting for. Stock market is just like, please Taco out of this whole thing. Please reopen the Strait of, let them reopen the Strait of Hormuz. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about who we heard from, and we'll talk about who we have not heard from. Very important distinction. So first news headline is Iran says, prepare to end war if security guarantee offered. Security guarantee from who? The blue and white guys that want to wipe you off the planet? You're not going to get a security guarantee from those guys. They hate you. Okay. But it is a good-looking headline. It's a good-looking headline. You get supportive rally in Nasdaq. You get a 2% rally in Bitcoin. It is a good-looking headline. They actually did a good job of making the usual hootenanny seem believable. By the way, as an aside, there's another angle on all this. Toby thinks that this is all theater. And one of the ways you can call it theater is to say the U.S. hit them with everything they had. We were -1 aircraft carrier, and we didn't achieve our objective. Now, on one hand, that's embarrassing. On the other hand, they can say, all of our toys didn't work, so we need new toys. That I believe. Oh, wait a minute. We need to revamp all of our toys. We couldn't stop the Iranians. Yeah, the press is, Iran's coming back stronger than ever. They've been bombed into, the Stone Age, but they're coming back stronger than ever. So we need a lot of new toys. Do you see what I'm saying? This is like, the word is off board. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I'll have the BS plate with the hootenanny sauce and the nonsense fries. It's just, I don't know. Zcash, antivirus, Bitcoin, anything but this BS. Now, let me see. What do we got here? Okay, so here we go. Secretary Marco Rubio, just call him President Rubio, is making statements. Here we go. Just check out the optics here. Here we are. Okay. You ever see the Secretary of State make it a little comment like this? No, I don't think so. Okay, so the Orange Man's probably having a tough time with the Diet Coke, and he's probably not well. So we are not doing any talking. So we have Rubio doing it. How nice. Under no circumstances can a country run by these radicals with an apocalyptic vision of the future, as if the North Koreans don't have that. Anyway, ever possess nuclear weapons. Okay. Right. It's like, well, let me explain why we needed to go in now. And then there's all this blah, 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 blah. You know, I'm just going to call him Marco. Marco then proceeds to go on and say, imagine if instead of spending billions on weapons, Iran spent that money on its people. They'd have a much different country. Huh. Fascinating. Our electric grid cannot handle Skynet, cannot handle the AI data center build out. And we're spending money unloading our outdated arsenal over there. And then we're going to spend more money upgrading it. Again, off board. And none of this is believable. It looks good. It looks good. You know, Marco looks good. He looks good. This looks believable. This is different than the usual Truth Social nonsense. So they've upped their game in terms of how can we get out of this? And they can get out of it unless the blue and white comes in over Easter and does something wackadoo. Seriously. Okay, so the Spanish president is reminding us that 23 years ago, you know, we went into another Middle Eastern country, you know, said we were getting rid of nukes and restoring democracy. No nukes were found. And do you really expect us to believe this again? This line that we're putting out like, oh, yeah, we definitely had to do this. We're leaving, but wow, did we have to do it? Whew. Man, it was hot out there. We had to just get all over this. So we've achieved our objectives. We're declaring victory and we left because, again, you know, we had to do it, right? Very, very stylish, very believable. Again, but yeah, Zcash and Monero are up because everyone's got to start moving money around. I mean, we'll see. You know, if it's not a one-day rally in privacy, you get a multi-day rally in privacy, somebody is trying to get money out of a country that has a problem. Japan, I don't know who. There's a reason why Europe is kind of rebelling against all this and why they're making some noise. Because the lights are going to go out over there. I'm serious. The lights are going out. Liquid natural gas, if they don't start getting stuff out of the Strait of Hormuz by Easter, you are going to have massive problems, if not already. I think this says a lot. You know, so Alex is questioning, you know, the orange man's public speaking, which is a big deal. Because if the left gets in power, he's going to jail. Very, very rare to see him, you know, taking on whatever's going on in Washington directly. Now, for Taco Part 2, and this is the most convincing thing. This is why equities were up today, if you're wondering. Okay. So we have the huge Twitter show with the bunker busting big blow up, which was conveniently directed at a site where the Iranians were allegedly launching all of their missiles from. So let me get this straight. A country with absolutely no ability to defend itself from the air puts all of its missile launchers in one place. Yeah, I got a great idea, guys. Let's put all of our missiles in one place in a big pile of dirt with a sign on a, you know, like a big sign that says, yeah, right here. Okay. So I don't know. I don't know what we blew up there, but, you know, really, really interesting that it was all conveniently put in one place. Does anyone believe this? Again, this is theater. This is where Toby was right. Toby was like, this is theater, and I've been looking for it. And then we put this big fireworks show blowing up whatever this is. Okay, right. Okay. Now, that is the good news. The good news is that allows everybody to go, well, you know what? We blew up their missiles. We had the big explosion. Now, you know, this is why we did it. We were right. And now we can leave. You know, the Iranians can say we've survived. We can say we cleaned out all their offensive capabilities. Happy Easter, we're done. And that's why equities were up 3% today. That's why they all got squeezed out. I think the only reason they didn't get squeezed out in Bitcoin was because of this quantum computing thing. And I just think that I don't know, there just doesn't seem to be any real interest in crypto right now. There's no volume. Crypto should have been a lot higher. I'm all too happy to see the bid flying into privacy. I mean, it's probably the only sector narrative other than AI that makes sense. By the way, we will look at, ARK, Kathy Wood's little annual letter, which frankly sounds like she's been watching Toby's show, right? And just repeats what she said. But there are cryptos in there that we can discuss that are just so absurdly undervalued, so absurdly underappreciated, so nauseating to see all of this gymnastics in equities when the asset to own, frankly, is just obvious, but whatever. If you want to talk about some good news, 50,000 barrels of American oil per day are now flowing into California because they preferred to buy their oil from on the air. So CZ had to come out today and counter the quantum computing FUD. It's amazing. Like, there's actually a reason for crypto to rally, and it's immediately countered with Google-related quantum computing FUD when, to be honest with you, the SWIFT system that transmits dollars everywhere is the most important thing to worry about quantum computing. Satoshi's wallet can just be cut out and burned, which is probably what's going to happen to preserve the Bitcoin network. They're just not going to let them market sell 700,000 Bitcoin. They're just not, unless Uncle Sugar is going to absorb that. I just think this quantum thing, although the quantum coins were up epically today. If we share that screen, right? If you go to like your single coin, quantum resistant ledger up 50%. Zcash is considered in this group up 10%. Cubic is there, not entirely a fan, but obviously the quantum computing thing was up today. Fine. Privacy and Zcash, just, I don't know, man. It feels like the trade. Now back to Fed response. The Oracle layoff is 20 to 30,000. Their main headquarters is in Austin, and I would imagine the carnage of that will be absolutely unbelievable. Meanwhile, there are news reports that the U.S. unemployment fund is not ready for this kind of disruption. Absolutely not. And oh, by the way, we had this whole taco move today. Oil didn't really move. Brent is still at 103. Okay, WTI, that's U.S. crude oil, up 102. And silver was on the move today. Silver moves on fear. Yes, we are going to need a Fed liquidity response, but it looks like we have more fear in commodities. So, good try though. Good try to taco out today. I just think you heard from everybody but the blue and white, and those guys, you say what you want. Those guys mean business. Now, let's go to the conclusion of disaster corn before we head into PowerPoint and some useful information. So just Dario reminding you that the Japanese yen is they're still having serious problems over there, right? That is not over, right? There are multiple problems having. Private credit is also an issue, right? Countries are selling assets to raise cash. You could have some sort of liquidity crisis out there. I mean, it's just something you absolutely have to start thinking about. Now, when you look at TA, so this is Nasdaq. This is the LuxAlgo here. So you have a fifth wave of a fifth wave of a fifth wave. Like it's like 5 of 5 of 5 of 5. There's so many 5 waves. I mean, it's like it's a 5 wave of a rally that goes back to, like, I don't know, 2003. There are so many 5 wave signals in Nasdaq on its monthly chart. That's why when this guy's last night, it's like, I'm buying equities. Like, all right, well, dude, yeah, nice 5% trade. It's a good trade to save Nasdaq. Let's hope you're right. Okay, I saw some research today from a guy I know talking about the Goldman Sachs hedge fund VIP basket. The VIP basket is just the 50 stocks that every hedge fund holds. Clearly a 5-wave top, which you can't see, a LuxAlgo sell signal, and you have massive bearish divergence where you have this monster new high when everybody decided to buy AI, and then it falls out of bed. Just as an aside, okay, the Korean stock index, Kospi, this could be over, but look at the FOMO on semiconductors that was occurring right before this thing fell out of bed. Could be normal corrective activity. I don't know. Again, you have to hope it's over. But what is the case to own this thing? When all 50 hedge funds own the same 50 stocks, they create a crowding problem. If everyone holds, it's fine. But the moment one fund sells, it pressures prices, forcing the next fund to sell and the next one. So, my buddy calls this the prisoner's dilemma, right? Should I tattle on my other person because they're going to tattle on me? The model estimates, 65% down move is necessary as you have move. That's bond market volatility. You have investment grade bond volatility, VIX and junk bond volatility at its high. So there is no calm, and we're worried about deleveraging. Now, this seems to indicate that it could impact Bitcoin. I would love to see Bitcoin flip the narrative. Okay. When U.S. Treasury bonds, the world's supposedly risk-free benchmark, start acting like a volatile asset, the foundational assumption of global finance begins to crack. That is the case for Bitcoin. So yes, yeah, I know. Like, do we really have to have a YouTube show that says, well, if there's massive equities deleveraging and everybody hedge fund has to sell, something negative can happen to Bitcoin? Yes. Can Bitcoin and crypto still have their moment where that stuff cracks, but Bitcoin actually comes back? Or we sit and wait for the juicy buy where they do have the deleveraging down move and you get the ultimate opportunity to buy Bitcoin, right? The ultimate. I don't know. That's what it feels like to me. All right. The same fire that burns the hedge fund VIP table is the one that drives capital towards the only asset that can't be printed, crowded into by committee, or shut down: Bitcoin, right? So the hedge fund hotel seemingly has nowhere to go but down. Meanwhile, if you want to hear some positive Kool-Aid, might as well have a little positive Kool-Aid, even though, you do have to be careful about Bitcoin being something sold by sovereigns. Very valiant attempt to save markets today, right? They tried to save Nasdaq with a monthly rally. Bitcoin hit its 50-month moving average. That's its white line. The body of the candle was at least green. That's nice looking. And you can see it feels just instinctively like a concerted effort to kind of save the chart, right? That's what it feels like. It's like, okay, let's make one last push to taco out. Let's put Rubio on and let's try to get us out. Okay. I got a better idea. Let's start thinking about Zcash and Monero. Let's start thinking about what happens. I mean, you can always lose money in crypto. You can always get smoked. But what happens if they got to get money out of some country and not have anybody know about it? Don't tell me Zcash was up today on quantum computing. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Right. Because if it was, it would have gone up and come back down. It was only a small wick today. You got a serious looking 13 bottom in Zcash. And I'm just loving it. And frankly, you've got the same thing in Monero. You got the same thing right here. And I think you even have it in Monero on the 240-minute chart, which is the 4-hour chart. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right. So there's the 13 bottom in Monero. There's been all this horrendous chop. Now that 13 bottom is confirmed and Monero is moving. In other words, there's a case for crypto. There's a real case for this stuff. And I want to like Bitcoin. I have not looked at the 4-hour DeMark work for Bitcoin. I mean, I want to like it. It's like Fox Mueller from the X-Files. I want to believe. What am I doing here? What the fuck? Okay. I want to believe, but every time Bitcoin gets to one of these moving averages from DeMark, this is a 4-hour chart, and it fails, it's a disaster. But it's a nice looking 13 bottom in Bitcoin. So, you know, Bitcoin or privacy will survive. I'm hoping it's privacy and my career as a reverse indicator ends very quickly. Like now would be a good time. Okay, S&P, just to bring this into context. Okay, S&P, this is SPY. Correct me if I'm wrong. But is that a breakdown and then a return move back to the prior low? Is this not technical analysis 101? Like, if equities don't have any upside follow through tomorrow, I would be concerned that all these hedge funds and all these guys that have to get out don't look at a 4 or 5% rally and go, see ya, I'm going home for the holidays. I'm not going to sit around and wait for the blue and white to hit these guys again. Because how could they be done? You haven't heard one word. Everyone else wants to taco out, but you haven't heard one word from them. I mean, they can drive escalation. Or actually, let's do it this way. They can drive continuation. So, yeah, everyone wants out. Yes, this is the best looking taco stuff that they've done yet. Really, look good. That's how they got everyone out in equities. It's amazing. We run our foreign policy off S&P futures. It's incredible. Unbelievable. When in reality, I don't know, man. It just feels like crypto is your only answer. Now, over to, Cathie Wood. She's essentially saying the exact same things that Toby has been telling you. By the way, there was a free show. Somebody on Twitter was like, thank God we have a free show today. Bro, we had a free show yesterday with Toby. You should go check that out. And Toby was ahead of Cathie Wood. She's stealing stuff from Toby. You have intelligence who can train, deploy, and monetize cognition, right? So all intelligence is free. Who can monetize it? Not Oracle. Okay, who can power it? The energy problem is a lot bigger than anyone thinks it is, right? It's like, the US can say, well, we're really immune to this energy trade. No, you're not. No, you're not. Okay, so maybe oil's not a problem. Maybe oil's not a problem. Electricity is. Okay, and then capital rails. How does value move? I mean, Bitcoin is perfect for this. Perfect. Okay, AI is not a software story. It's infrastructure. Toby keeps talking about infrastructure. Every Toby report, infrastructure. It's in small print down here, but, Tau, Render, Akash, and AIOZ, everybody else over here in equities is doing NVIDIA and Broadcom. All those semiconductor stocks got taken out to the woodshed. Meanwhile, the AI tokens, they did pretty good. No power, no inference. Why are we spending money in the Middle East, man? Why are we spending money on the grid? Okay, blockchain is not crypto. It's trust infrastructure. Don't you love these Wall Street types? Oh, don't call it crypto. Call it anything but crypto. Just don't call it that. Okay, bro. Again, ARK's blockchain thesis is strongest when it stops talking about coins and starts talking about coordination. In a machine economy where AI amplifies financial stability, neutral trust rails become load-bearing infrastructure. Okay, in other words, Ethereum, Solana, Chainlink, Ondo, Maker, or Sky, and Aave, along with Avalanche and maybe even Polygon, nobody talks about this. I mean, this OpenClaw AI agent, Toby found it, wanted to run it on a virtual machine. Basically, the way I understand it is it's an AI agent that actually works. Crypto Princess is here. Welcome. It's unbelievable how there's an AI agent out there that actually works. And everyone acts like that's not going to trade. That's going to have no impact on markets. Meanwhile, Cathie Wood is talking about the giant robot trade. So, in equities, when everyone's long the wrong thing and everything that they own is overbought, they resort to a zoom out, which is a good thing to do in crypto, but they over zoom out in equities and assume the robot trade will hold up whatever position they have. Now, I know she's a big Tesla fan. I know that's kind of like different, but I mean, it's like, I don't know, in the equity market, they never stop drinking Kool-Aid. In crypto, we drink Pepto. In equities, they just drink Kool-Aid. They have a bullish thesis no matter what. It's always bullish over in stocks. Always. I don't understand it. And I don't understand why, if it's always bullish in stocks, why that never applies to crypto. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and Chainlink. Wow, isn't that exciting? Well, you know what? It's a lot more exciting than owning every stock that every hedge fund owns, because I think that is just flat out stupid. The machine economy runs on compute, energy, collateral, sentiment, and coordination. Bitcoin is non-state collateral in an adversarial world. God, I just don't know. Just don't know how you justify 50K Bitcoin unless there's a forced seller of epic size. And I'm not saying that there isn't. I'm just putting that out there. AI and crypto is 80% noise, 20% is real. Know the difference. Know the difference. Now, one reason to listen to our research is that we're all over this. We're all over this, right? We got the bottom in the AI coins. And the next show that we're doing with Toby, which will be in the next 24 hours, is we're just going to small caps. I'm like, what do you want to do? She's like, I want to go to small caps. I'm like, you want to go to small caps? She's like, yeah, we're going to small caps, mini caps, right? We're going to try to, we're going to try to find I don't know, the next Tao. She's like, you don't want to talk about Zcash? She's like, no, you already talked about Zcash. We already talked about privacy. We already picked all the small coins in privacy. You know, we want to find what's next. And doesn't that make a shred of sense? Now, yeah, okay, we have to live with the downside risk of Bitcoin not going anywhere. Maybe the privacy coins can kind of bail out the overall crypto market. Because in my opinion, it's kind of an if this, then that. If privacy coins are a one-hit wonder, I think there's more downside risk in all of crypto. If privacy coins continue to rally, normally that's not great for the general market, but it can actually hold up the space. It can hold the space up. Now, the other thing that, you know, needs to be reiterated is, you know, silver up and all of these problems related to, you know, the stress of $100 oil. It can create a problem that people don't fully understand or see, including me, including you. We can't see it. We can't see it. Now, what we can see, and a lot of guys have talked about this, and it's an underused word in crypto live streams, is you can see a growth scare, a scare about economics, or about, about economic growth, which will bring in helicopter money and a policy response, which, by the way, was discussed today by Morgan Stanley, like about helicopter money and stimmy checks, because the price of food is about to go parabolic. I think regardless of whether this ends tomorrow, it's definitely going parabolic if it goes on for another 4 to 6 weeks. And if it goes on longer than that, then, you know, you're guaranteed, frankly, insane food prices and a need for stimmy just to get there, just to get people to not lose their mind. There's another word other than growth scare, and that's deleveraging. And I've heard this, right? This is all over legacy. In other words, if you have problems with banks, problems with loans, problems with Japanese finances, blah, 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 hedge funds all along the same stock, everybody has to look at this and go, okay, we just had a 5% rally. They're tying a taco out of this for the 12th time. If it doesn't work, should we sell before everyone else? The prisoner's dilemma, right? Cops arrest Bonnie and Clyde, put them in separate rooms. Do they rat each other out for a deal, or do they say nothing? Do the hedge funds hold and try to hang in there in the hedge fund hotel stocks? Or does one guy go, I'm out, before the deleveraging starts? And does that start some ball rolling down the hill? That remains to be seen. Clearly, they were expecting deleveraging. They were expecting it, and they just got squeezed out. You have to be leery of short squeezes. Crypto privacy feels like a bottom. And I think if privacy goes up and everything else starts to roll over, or if privacy holds a bid, I'm telling you, somebody is trying to move money, and it could be out of the Middle East. Because no matter what happens, there is going to be a continued supply disruption. I don't think this is at a point where we can go, okay, we're leaving. Okay, we're opening up the Strait of Hormuz. Just kidding. Wow, this was a lot of fun. Let's do it again in a couple of years. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I mean, that sounds awesome. I mean, like I said, if you're drinking Kool-Aid, that sounds great. That's what people want. Are you getting? Does everyone get what they want? You know, this like instant gratification where everybody wants the most bullish outcome, including, you know, the taco guy himself. I don't know, man. You got to be careful of the disappointment trade on this. You do, which means, you know, make sure if you're long all coins, you believe in them. Like, that's why we went through the ARK investment thing. You got to believe in it. And, you know, next show with Toby and stuff we're going to be putting in Patreon Platinum, it's going to be the stuff that, you know, sectors that we believe in. Privacy, I guess, is old news in terms of what we believe in. We're trying to find new stuff, because there will be new stuff, because that is the lesson. That is the lesson of the Chronomystica / ARK investment reports. You know, what will the AI agents use? And the AI agents are here. And all we can think about is Taco, which is another Toby theme of don't fall for the distraction. There's a distraction and an agenda. The agenda is to get new military equipment. The distraction is away from what the new stuff is that the whole world's going to run on. That is probably just, I don't know, man, absurdly cheap. Not just cheap, absurdly cheap. Now, someone's asking, how high can Zcash go? We drinking Kool-Aid today? I love Kool-Aid. I got to be careful not to act like the equities guys. So I'm not, you know, I hate being a reverse indicator. You know, it's inevitable when you talk on a regular basis. Okay. So this is Zcash Weekly. You have a 9 bottom after this huge rally. You know, if Zcash did what, say, TAO did, it unwound the whole recent bear market, it could go to 530. And Zcash was at 530 in January. I don't know what you get if you look at Zcash monthly, if there's anything there that is worth it. Oh, it actually is. Okay. So 216 was a high pre-FTX. Zcash went all the way down, retested it, banged on the level. Very impressive candlestick right on top of the level. Oh, that's better than I thought when I pulled up the chart. I don't know, man. You know, like I said, why can't it go back to 550? You know, this wick seemed excessive. Why can't it just unwind the whole thing? Why not? I mean, when you look at TAO, this was TAO in January at 393. It went to 380. And oh, by the way, it's doing a return move, and right now it's holding. I mean, folks, this is basic TA, right? Zcash goes down, holds support, bounces. TAO breaks out, comes back down, holds what was resistance is now support. And then you have this sludge, S&P, which everybody was like, you know, all over themselves to buy today, is doing the exact opposite. They break down, they leave everybody who's long up here trapped. They make it look like everything is great off the, you know, Marco Rubio in his suit, taco BS. And if this can't get through, guess what? These hedge funds are going to have to liquidate. Now, yeah, I know. If everything goes down, crypto goes down too. I know. I understand that. You know, but you still should be thinking about, hey, what are we going to get long for the future? In other words, one intellectual exercise is, if there was ever a sweep of the lows at 60 in Bitcoin, what would you be buying? Well, we explained this to you by going through the ARK presentation, right? That the stablecoin trade is not discussed. The only thing everybody talks about is, the only thing anyone talks about is, the regulation battle back and forth with what kind of interest rate are you going to get on your stable coins? When I'm telling you right now, people in the emerging market world and the EM and whatever, all you need is a problem with any Middle Eastern currency or any currency that has a problem with liquid natural gas. And everybody in that country is going to want dollars on their phone. And they're not going to care whether you could deposit it and JP Morgan is going to give you an interest rate. And no. It's just going to be a way to get the dollar digitally and then be able to get Bitcoin or some other layer one or whatever quickly, which is, again, an ununderstood trade. People are not linking, okay, oil can create deleveraging or destabilize currencies, which make people want the dollar or the digital dollar. everyone's like, well, the Clarity Act, who cares, right? Who cares, right? People may want stable coins on their phone, and that trade has just not been done at all. So the second you have trouble in legacy, yes, everything lurches lower, but the research imagination in crypto has gone to zero. And I understand why. I mean, it understands why, because no matter how much you think about it, it doesn't go anywhere. In other words, there was a zero hedge headline earlier today, which could literally be the low. I was like, wow. You know, if there was ever a headline where it was like, okay, it's Armageddon in crypto, like it's over. I'm looking for it right now, where it was just like, you know, crypto is dead, literally. Like there's no volume, there's nothing. I can't find it. Okay. It literally, it was like, there's no funding, there's no volume, nothing is happening. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Crypto ecosystem in survival mode. Volumes collapse, funding dries up, from JPEG rocks to reality. So we're going all the way back to 2021 to say all this terrible stuff about crypto. You know, meanwhile, yeah. Meanwhile, like I said, everything's fine in equities, right? I don't know, man. I just don't think so. I just do not think so. And I wish for the day that me and Toby, particularly Toby, get vindicated on this idea that system, it doesn't have to go to zero. It just has to be kind of abandoned or left to rot while everybody goes over to like the next thing. And I think it's going to take some sort of Skynet-based AI to get on crypto and start using it. Start using it, right? Because again, the desire for alternatives is out there because they're still ripping silver off exchanges. Silver is not over. It's not over. Dollar alternatives are not over. I mean, I understand people do want the dollar overseas versus something else, but if you start pricing in fear, the question is, are you ready? First of all, actually, wait a minute. The question is, do you want to be ready? Do you still care? Half the purpose of the show is a pep talk to be like, yes, you should still care. The VIP membership stream is just, I mean, it doesn't, it's not just a pep talk. It's a pep talk with layered research attached to it. It doesn't get any better than what we're doing over there, right? In terms of the why and then the what should you do, right? It's that simple. It is. All right, let's take a moment to welcome who is here. All right. We have P. Sefro first on the stream and second on the stream. Legend from down under. Knox, welcome. MJ Hits, wrong again. Jackie Chan, a Spartan Colonel, welcome. Okay, Richard Barry, liking whatever I said. I'm glad it's all working out. If you were long Zcash and faded me on stocks, you probably made your whole month. Okay, Daniel, a member, says long-term mindset, right? AY is here. Welcome. T-Bone makes the late night stream. Welcome, sir. G. Scott, MJ Hits, B99, Odd Dark, a member. Sir. Tango FN, Crypto Princess. Good evening. Headed for bed, late night in London. By the way, did a stream with her today on liquid natural gas. We actually do macro over on her channel, Monster Geek Outs weekly. Pretty good show. John Legend, what's up? John Legend. VIP membership is well worth it. And Jake Ahoot is here talking about MicroStrategy. Oh, wow. An excuse to geek out on crypto stocks. Let's try it. Let's see if there's any dog do in crypto stocks worth looking at. Bitcoin conference coming up at the end of April. Actually, I also heard that there's a huge Bitcoin conference, not a huge, but there's a Bitcoin conference going on in Fort Worth. If anyone's going to that, feel free to DM me on Twitter. Okay. Very interesting. Oh, this is a very interesting chart. So I got to share the screen. Okay. So this is MicroStrategy. So there's the 13 bottom. There's an additional puke with a reversal right where you would expect it. So it would be nice if you got follow through on the upside. You could argue that that's a legit bottom if there was follow through on the upside. God, would I love that? Oh my God. I don't know. Try Outdoors is here. What's up? I don't know. I don't know if we could get that bold. Let's just look at it monthly, just for laughs. So I guess on tomorrow will be a 9 bottom on the monthly chart of MicroStrategy. Not on any particular support point. It never got down to 74. Still somewhat interesting. I don't know. And weekly, you could have another 3 weeks of problems. You could have another 3 weeks of problems, but this doesn't look, I don't know. It doesn't look horrible anymore. I was looking at HUT 8 on a daily chart today. Like, this rally did attempt to fix a lot of charts. Like this X, like if there was follow through on the upside, this could be A, B, C in HUT mining, and that could be over. I'm a little bit worried about where the cost of production is for these guys, but these guys have diversified into AI, and they do help solve the power problem. So, I mean, you had a lot of these stocks up 5% today. Wolf was up big. Cypherpunk gapped up. I guess that's Zcash, if I'm correct. Oh my God, would I love to see this be like a breakaway gap? See how it gapped down here? It's just like huge emotional. Normally you don't have island bottoms in stonks, but this isn't really a stonk. It's a crypto. We'll see. Right. So it's, very emotional here, very emotional here. We'll see. We'll see. It's like energy. It's like AI plus crypto. Possible bottom today in Iren, but again, you do have to watch this. It's like, will you get follow through on this tomorrow? I mean, you're getting follow through right now on Nasdaq futures because they're assuming you're going to be able to taco out. I mean, happy Easter if they could taco out. Declare victory and leave. The United States has done it before, and frankly, I honestly think that that's what everyone's praying for. That there isn't, in other words, if this is like the false taco, because it'd be a shame if they wasted this. Like Rubio sounded credible. I can be cynical. I'm sure the American far right will be cynical. The next 48 hours in that whole thing matter because it's obvious that they got the shorts on the run in equities, right? And Bitcoin, like, you know, Patreon, we told them a weekly close at 67K was critical, and they got a weekly close above 67K. So what exactly is the problem in Bitcoin? There's only a problem in Bitcoin is if somebody in the Middle East is caught and they have to sell. I don't know who it is. I don't know who, but that's the only risk to me to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin was made for inflation, right? Low growth, inflation, you know, Fed doesn't know what to do, policymakers with no credibility. I mean, frankly, it should be obvious. It's obvious. And the fact that the crypto rails and the infrastructure and the privacy, they fit together. And the question is, you know, will they end it before some sort of financial crisis or contagion starts? And believe me, the contagion is about this close to starting. I think they got 1 week to get fully tacoed out of this to avoid a major problem. Because if you squeeze out all the shorts and equities, and then the blue and white comes in, or somebody comes in and this escalates again, and you've squeezed out all the shorts and the hedges, oh my God. Oh my God, we don't want that. And I'm telling you all this, not to talk out of both sides of my mouth so you can develop a plan, so you can read the headlines. We collected the taco today. A lot of times there's no need to collect the taco because it's just stupid stuff on Twitter, right? This needed to be collected and organized so you can develop a plan. I'm just going to stick with Zcash, Monero, put my stop in, hope for the best, right? Hope for the best. And then, you know, if you can buy a breakout one day in Bitcoin, trying to buy a breakout in Bitcoin has been an absolute fool's errand. I'm not doing it. I'm not touching it. I'm just leaving it. Some guy wanted me to be 100x short based on this thing I showed yesterday on 2018, which is when Bitcoin goes sideways. The eventual resolution is a waterfall lower. Just wanted to clarify that. I run my portfolio like a mutual fund. It's like when I love it, I'm long out to the gills. I'm eating ramen and I'm just putting every dollar I can into the market. It's, you know, it's overweight. You know, when it's not doing anything or whether it might go lower, then you just get underweight and you save some money for when it's going to go lower, but you do not get 100x short Bitcoin. You just don't, because Bitcoin was made for this. It doesn't matter if it goes to 40 or if it goes to 58 or whatever negative fantasy is out there. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you can be there when it goes down and you're not puking it. That's what matters. I mean, that's what matters in Zcash. Remember we were talking about that, like, engineered nonsense by the Winklevoss twins, you know, selling, you know, puking Zcash or running the stops in Zcash below 200. And the next thing you know, it's at 250. Remember that? Right? You don't want to get caught in that because you know they're trying to get your Bitcoin. I know BlackRock's trying to get your Bitcoin. They're all trying to get it. They're all trying to get it. Now, you know, and the only way they're going to get it is if there's a sovereign seller that we don't know about. And that goes for treasuries and a lot of other areas. I think silver was up today because there is no sovereign seller in silver. There's just industrial buyers. So if there's no one in the way, it goes up. You know, that and squeezing all the shorts out of stonks where people got, you know, giga bearish. Fine. Okay. Like I said, if they get followed through, great. If they don't get followed through, bear market rallies are spectacular, just as an educational point of information. You know, like equity's up 5%. They're up more now. It's like, oh God, it's amazing. Bear market in 2008, bear market rallies were huge. And they looked incredible. Like, oh God, it's got to be over, man. It's up like, you know, it's up like 8% or 10%. The green candle was amazing. They just came right in after that and sold. You know, you're going to learn a lot about hedge fund positioning in stonks in the next 48 hours, right? They got Easter coming up. They got to be like, what do we want to do with this? Do we want to be long, short? Are we staying with our stuff? Are we getting out? Let's decide Monday or Tuesday, get in or out and go home. Right? Because, you know, I mean, if it were me, if it were me, I would say, you know, you either got to sell and lighten up on Monday or Tuesday, or you got to say to yourself, I'm going home long and hoping nothing happens over Easter. I'm essentially making a bet that it's tacoed and it's over if a hedge fund doesn't sell. You know, there's a case for Bitcoin no matter what. I don't know if there's a case for equities no matter what, because of a growth scare, a food scare, and you don't know what the Fed is going to do. I don't think the Fed can react until there's actually a problem. So I wish them all the best, right? Because again, Oracle laying off 20,000 people. Everything's going great over there in big tech. 20,000 people laid off. Insane, because of what's going on with the credit default swaps. Not because of, we just decided we wanted to make HR changes. No, something is going on in capital markets and they're getting wrecked. And I don't understand why that is seen as not a problem. That is a problem. Here it is. Just on the way out, right? There's no case for cryptocurrencies, really. Oracle credit default swaps hit a record wide back to 2008. This is like the probability that Oracle will default on its debt. Huh. Yeah, okay. Everything's fine. Is it? Is it? We don't want to own Chainlink, but Oracle's like falling apart. You don't think this has seriously, you don't think this has a domino effect? This is why you don't get 100x leverage short. I think anything in crypto, I don't care what it does, because the cracks in legacy are there, and the natural process of getting off the equities elevator and walking across the hallway and getting on the crypto elevator should happen organically at some point after the deleveraging, which either happens quietly or violently. Okay, that is your food for thought. Okay, Try Outdoors it here. He bought crude at 89.70. John Legend thinks it's Taco Tuesday. Friends, I wish you all the best. We will see you soon.